Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Heal Life. I am super excited about you guys coming on with us tonight. As you guys are coming in, let us know where you're tuning in from, what city, what state. As you guys are logging in, welcome. Hello, Ty. So, Ty is on. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, Louisiana's in the house. Yeah, so we are excited, y'all. Build an audience for us for the Heal Life. I love these segments, these series, because it gives us a chance to share our community with you, our beautiful transformations that's taking place. Um, and yeah, y'all get to know what all is going on behind the scenes. So we have been in rest mode, y'all, since the conference. Heal, Bloom, and Bill was amazing, and we had women come from all over the globe, all over, and we had an amazing time. We are already planning for next year. And so keep your notifications on because we are going to have a special treat for you guys for next year. 2026 is going to be amazing. And so we're not going to give everything away tonight, but we will give you guys a sneak peek real soon inside of the conference for next year, 2026. So hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I want to start before I introduce our special guest, Nicole. I want to tell you guys why we do the Heal Life. So the Heal Life is something I realize that a lot of the work that I do, because it's so we create such a safe place for women, um, an intimate place that sometimes people don't even understand or know what happens, the transformation, the metamorphosis, the restoration, the reinvention that takes place as women do the work and make themselves their biggest assignment. And so y'all know that's one of my, mantras. You are your biggest assignment, not your husband, not your children, not your job, not your ministry, but you, because everything pours out of you. And so I want those of you that know, you caught on to that message, you are your biggest assignment. You finally get it. Like, it took me a minute too, I finally figured out that I was my biggest assignment and I had no business pouring into anyone else if I was on empty. That's a whole word, whole word. Um, but I realized not only was God working amazing metamorphosis and transformation in the lives of these women, but I realized that their stories needed to be told, that they needed to be shared with the world. Because a lot of times, when people go underground with me, in a course or, coaching, it's private. It's something that they really don't want to share at the moment because they have some things that they're dealing with. And so we oblige them and we, honor that. But eventually you're like, girl, can I tell it? Can we tell it? Can we share what God is doing in your life? Can we share the restoration? Because everybody's saying you're different. Like, you don't look the same, you don't respond the same, you don't interact the same, you don't connect the same. And so I started the Heal Life probably 3 years ago, a little bit over 3 years ago, because I wanted to highlight and spotlight some of the women that had the courage to say, you know what, I'm called to share my story. I know that, there's women out there just like me, that I'm not alone, that my story needs to be heard, and I want to share it. And so that's what the Heal Life is. We are just sharing transparent stories of a restoration, recompense, transformation, all the shuns, manifestation, all of those amazing things that God does when we do the work. And so thank you. So Kimberly's on, Chantel is on. If you guys would do me a favor, go ahead and share, like, and invite some people, tag a few people, and let them know that the Heal Life is on. For those of you that may not know me, I'm Dr. Rashana Smith. I am a healing coach. I'm a prophetess. I am an author, an entrepreneur. I'm a mom of 4 daughters, and I'm a Gigi. And I love what I do. I help women make healing a lifestyle, discover their kingdom identity, and prosper God's way. And so if you are looking for a coach, or it's time for you to heal, it's time for you to do some work and get past some expired doors, close some things, get some closure on some things that have been hindering you, and it's time to make yourself your biggest assignment, then listen, stick around, because you wanna tune in for this one. I want to I want to talk to you guys before I bring Nicole up about how healing is the upgrade. I think many times when people say, you know what, I'm going to just take some time to work on me, they don't really know that there's a big payoff. And I want y'all to say there is a payoff when you do the work. Like, y'all got to actually put it in the comments. There is a payoff, and the payoff is big. A lot of times people think, well, if I do the work, if I finally deal with the things that I haven't dealt with for years, the only reward will be I'll have peace. But healing is the ultimate upgrader. It is the thing that will upgrade your life in every dimension, because your spiritual dimension is the strongest dimension. And so it has the ability to pull all of the other dimensions in alignment. And so it is the ultimate upgrader. So when your spiritual dimension is in alignment and synergy, then God begins to allow that spiritual dimension, because you're in proper alignment with Him. He starts pulling on your physical, your emotional, your relationships, your lifestyle, your career goals, your assignment as far as your calling. All of those things upgrade, because now the spiritual dimension is where it's supposed to be. And so that payoff is not just what you desire, but God always does exceedingly abundantly above all we could hope, ask, or think. And so when I thought about doing the Heal Life this time, I was like, who do I need to come on talking about the upgrade? Like, who is it? And Nicole was the first person that came to my mind, because her life has totally skyrocketed, totally transformed. We're not saying everything's perfect, but we're saying there is noticeable change and transformation that's taking place in her life, to where people like, is this the same? Is this the same person? Because God has done an amazing work in her life. She's an author. She's an entrepreneur. She's a fashionista. Child, when you come in her presence, like, you be like, girl, where the shoes? Where the outfit come from? Where the hair? Where the makeup? Like, who did your photo shoot? Who did this? Who did this? Like, I'm constantly asking her. She's worked in the educational system, and now she's in government, but she's going to tell us more about what she's doing right now in her life. Without further ado, you guys welcome one of the Reapers from cohort 16. Nicole Williams is in the building.
Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much, Prophetess.
It's an honor. It's an honor for you to be on. I'm so happy you made time, because I know you're busy, you're traveling a lot, but kind of tell the listeners, the people that don't know, I know your cohorts on here, Kimberly and Chantel and Felicia, and all of them are on here.
I love you so
Much. But tell the people that may not know you, tell them a little bit about what would you want people to know that don't know you. What would you want them to know about you?
Ooh, what you see today isn't what yesterday looked like. I think that'll be the biggest thing that I would tell people. Like, what you see today is not my story. I didn't come from, I came from very humble beginnings. I'll say that. And, from sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, I've gone through probably everything, spiritual abuse, everything you could think of. I probably have gone through it. And God has just continued to prove himself like in my life.
Wow. So she's just a Jesus girl. She's a billboard for the Lord. And that's mind sharing. And y'all, she's power packed. She a preacher. Don't give up mic, because listen, when she was in class, I was like, listen to Nicole live. Go back and watch that. Don't worry about listening to me. Just listen to her. But you have so much in you, because you've been in church all your life, in some capacity. But when you started, so you knew God, you knew the word, you knew what it meant to quote the scripture, you knew the power of the word. But when you started thinking about, I need to take some time to finally stop, because stopping is hard for a person like you. It's hard, because you're like a worker bee. You're like the Energizer bunny, and you have your hands in a lot of things. You're creative. So let's start there. How hard was it to stop and say, you know what, this is not easy, but I know I got to do it?
It was very hard to stop, and because a lot of people don't know, my sisters know that I joined your healing group. It was crazy when we did the putting our jackets on at the conference a few weekends ago. I was looking at how I started with Ty, and like how many people you went around their room before you got to me.
Wow.
Like that was powerful for me. And I was like, wow. And so I think that at that point, healing was just necessary. I had to stop. Like it was
Mm,
necessary.
wow. Wow. So when you start working on, I know a lot of people underestimate. I always say that healing is so underestimated. People think, oh, it's not going to be a big payoff. It's not going to be a big transformation. I'm just going to deal with some things under my surface. I'm going to cry a bunch of days and nights. I'm going to feel bad about myself. That's why I don't want to do it.
Mhm.
But what did healing and doing the inner work do for your mental health? Because I think a lot of, especially us African Americans, we don't really focus on our mental health like we should, and we don't know that it is in our past and the things we don't deal with are impacting our mental health. What were some of the payoffs or the benefits of you doing the healing work, and how did it impact your mental health?
The biggest thing for me, one thing that I realized is that now I can sleep at night. That's the biggest, but it may not seem like a big thing, but it's a big thing. I was having anxiety to the point to where my nerves would get so racked up that my skin would feel like it's crawling. That's how bad I was being tormented with just thoughts at
Mm,
night. And I was, and of course, everybody, you got anxiety. And one thing God had to stop me and say was that, one, a lot of inner healing and places where I hadn't even forgiven myself, decisions that I made in life that I felt like wasn't the most favorable, things like that. Um, was keeping me up. It put in my mind or messed with my mental to the point to where I didn't even trust myself to make a decision anymore, and I didn't trust God, because a
mm,
lot of times how we feel about ourselves is how we treat God a lot of times, even when we don't realize that this. And so because I had made a lot of unfavorable decisions, I was struggling in turn, and I hadn't dealt with a lot of, I was making unfavorable decisions because I hadn't healed or dealt with things that needed to be healed in me, which
mm,
was causing me to have anxiety bad. And when I went through this healing journey, like I said, I used to couldn't go to sleep without playing Bible scriptures in the at night. Like I just need, it was almost like a baby that need a bottle before they go to bed, or a passy or whatever. I could not sleep without playing scriptures, because that was the only thing that kept my mind off
mm.
of my day or my tomorrow or whatever the case may be. And now,
Wow.
let me tell you, when I leave work and I go home and I put my night clothes on, my friend called me last night at like 11, and she was like, "Girl, why you didn't answer the phone, baby? I was asleep." I was asleep. And
Mm,
like now, I don't, I, if I choose to play Bible scriptures, nothing wrong with that. But I was using that to help me go to sleep. Now I just can fall asleep.
mm-hmm.
That's like, that's a big thing. And there's so many people who deal with sleepless nights,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I think you just hit on something, because I remember, because I always tell y'all that you guys remind me of myself at some point in my journey. And I couldn't sleep. I had to start taking sleep medicine because I could not sleep. And I couldn't sleep because I would not deal with the things that were trying to pull at me. I was like, no, I'm not going to deal with that. I got to keep going. I got to keep living. Got to keep earning money. I got to keep going. I got these kids. I got this. Listen, but that thing was robbing me of my peace, my sleep, and I started taking Ambien. Like I was on medicine to sleep, and then that didn't work. So I do understand what you mean about, you having peace enough to go to sleep, and have peace at night without having to numb what you went through, or speak to your spirit and you playing Bible verses. What was the biggest lie that was uncovered? Because I think a lot of times when we heal, we don't realize that we believed a bunch of lies.
Mhm,
We sold our life into the lie. We believed the lie. We lived the lie. We lived under the lies, you
mhm,
know, uh, mandates, because a lot of things I believed, they were all lies, and I had lived my life for years under this lie because I didn't know the difference because I was full of trauma. I was full of
Mm-hmm.
rejection, full of hurt, full of misunderstanding, judgment, abuse, neglect, abandonment issues. And those things have voices, whether they're from a
Mm-hmm.
person, if you experience some things, we don't know, but experiences have a voice and they will speak to you and tell you who you are and who you're not. And many times they're packed with lies. What was the biggest lie that you uncovered or you discovered that your trauma told you that you came out of agreement with when you healed?
The biggest thing is acceptance. Acceptance. Spiritually and naturally. And I think because of what we don't do or deal with, like you said, in a natural sense, it will go over into our spiritual spaces as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's hard to kind of put it into words, I guess, like what I mean when I say how the natural goes over into the spiritual, and how what I was dealing with then was going over into what I was dealing with, you know, in both levels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's torment,
It is.
spiritual torment. Yeah. Yeah, because I think many of the things that we deal with, when we don't deal with them, they happen to us physically, but they create spiritual warfare for us.
And I think that when we don't accept ourselves, we feel like God don't accept us. That's the biggest way for me to put it in terms to what I feel. When we feel like we're not good enough for ourselves, we feel like we're not good enough for God.
Mm-hmm.
When we feel like, and when you know that you have a spiritual call on your life, and I feel like I can like go this direction. Like
Mm-hmm.
when you feel like you have a spiritual call on your life, but the things that you are dealing with inwardly because of like sometimes your experiences will how you deal with your experiences are based on what is just in you, whether it be sex, lying, hatred, gossip, you know, just whatever it is, that things that we have undealt issues inwardly, whatever we have not dealt with, and we choose to deal with it a certain way before we go into healing, we almost won't even accept healing because we feel like God feel the same way, and we'll stay in this cycle because you feel like you're not even good enough to go back to God and make a right decision. Like that's the biggest lie that I told to myself, was that like God didn't love me because the way that I was choosing to deal with my undealt with trauma or my unresolved issues or whatever the case may be. That's the biggest lie that I told to myself, that God didn't love me, that he wasn't listening to me anymore, that, you know, because now I had been on this side of, you know, being saved and, you know, whatever, and then finding yourself back in a cycle of life after you go through a hurt or after you go through something new, after you go through something different, you know, whatever the case. That was the biggest lie that I told myself though.
Yeah. What I heard you saying that, and that was so good. Felicia says, that's so true. I think what I heard you say is we think that God gets tired of us, that he's not long suffering, you know, and that we think that God says, you know what, it's enough is enough. I'm just done. We think God says I'm done, and God never says I'm done. He never says I'm done. And I think we do that based on how we disappoint our family, or how our family treats us, or how people treat us. We're like, surely God can't still want to love me or use me after all the time I've wasted. But the scripture
Exactly.
says, yeah, he's long suffering. He's long suffering.
And see, the issue is I'm not long suffering.
Uh, okay.
I'm serious. So a
Yeah.
lot of times where we know we are not, we don't look for God to be.
So good. So good. So you told yourself, and you probably delayed healing because you didn't think it was possible and it wouldn't happen, to give you a fresh start. One thing I know about healing is it helps you manifest the things that you always wanted, even though you thought you never deserved them. Like there are some things that I have right now that I thought that'll never happen because time has wound down. Like there's too much time. I've wasted too much time. God's not going to, he will restore me, but he's not going to allow me to redeem time. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I know that the word says that, but that'll be in the afterlife. You know, we love to tell ourselves these stories. And my friend Glow, she always says, you know, those stories you tell yourself, they're just not true. But I think we condition ourselves based on what, like you said, what we're able to, the capacity that we have emotionally. But tell us about how, you know, you, when you went through and you made the time and you decided to um just come off the radar, like just go underground. That's one of the hardest things for people, you know, not to have access to you, to really just focus on you, you know. Tell us what was the first upgrade, because I God shows me different facets of healing. And I think now he's dealt with me in the recompense, and he's dealt with me in the peace area, and he's dealt with me in fresh starts. But now God is getting me to the place where no, healing is an upgrade. And they looking to upgrade every other way but healing, and healing is the way. Like what did healing do for you in your life? You know, that you really want to share it. I know it did many things, but what do you want to share with the listeners? What did it, how did it upgrade your life?
You know what? Exactly how you started the question off when you said how going under the radar sometimes can be hard.
Hmm.
I have healed to the point where I don't care about being off the radar. Like some and some people may not understand that, but I have healed to a point to where I don't care about being off the radar because I know that my healing is not complete. You get what I'm saying? And sometimes we will heal and then we'll come back too quick instead of letting, he said that God said that he completes and finishes the work. And sometimes we come from under the radar too soon when God, because see, some of the things that I had to go through and see about myself in your healing class, okay, it was like, okay, now I done got that from you and your life have upgraded to a point where my life don't even look the same.
Did y'all see that look? She said,
Like, listen, profit is to the point where today I got my third promotion in 8 months.
my
You
God.
get, you get, and every promotion has came with financial increase.
Hmm.
Like, and I'm gonna say this: my job and what I do is not a secret, but I've been keeping it off the radar because I know what it feels like when you just want, when you're doing things for acceptance and causing what you don't know, unnecessary warfare. So
Hmm.
until I feel like I'm at a place where, yeah, I'm becoming to a point where I feel like the old people say, like a tree but planted by the water. When
Right.
I feel safe enough to come from under the radar and reveal the goodness that God is really doing in my life,
Mm.
like, but right now I'm not focused on, I'm healed to a point where I don't owe an audience anything.
Ooh,
Like, I
y'all
don't
better put that in the comments. Ooh, that's good, Nicole.
I don't when
You
I thought about that today, and I was like, man, like, I'm healed to a point where I could, you can, people, sometimes we want to stun on our haters and let them see how far God really have brought us in the rooms that he have put us. But I'm so healed to the point that I don't even care to prove to you what God doing in my life, because I don't need your negative words. Now I got to be in warfare praying and fasting for 20 days and 40 nights because I done told y'all what God doing in my life, and you mad.
yeah.
Serious.
So good. Listen, I have to go back to that. Do you remember when you were in the chorus, you lost your job um closed. She wasn't laid off. The job closed. Something happened with the job and you were like, I don't know, but I'm working on myself and I know God got me. I got to trust God. And you kept going and you kept going like you didn't stop, you didn't panic. You just said, you know what? I know God got me. I'm working on myself. There's no way God's going to let me down. And look at what God did at the end of that.
When I say, what do they say? That eyes have your eyes have not seen. You
Mm,
think that you've seen and heard what God want to do, but I'm gonna tell you the scripture that God gave me was, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. Want me to tell you what God told me about healing when it comes to this? The end of that says, even as, I'm a teacher, so you education too. So
yeah. Yeah.
that even as, that's something that one goes with the other. You get
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? It
Mm-hmm.
says, even as your soul prospers. And God was dealing with, he said, beloved, I wish. He didn't say that it was his promise to you. He said, I wish, meaning that it's a decision that you have to make.
Y'all better talk.
Like, he said, beloved, I wish above all things. This is my wish for you. But if you don't, healing brings your soul up. And so it's like God will only give you capacity for what you have inner capacity for.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's not gonna give a baby a piece of steak. I can't chew that. But the deeper that we heal, what God has been dealing with me about, the deeper that we heal, the more that our life, we
Yep.
heal, we go up a little more. We heal, we go up a little more. We heal, but also in that is levels or cycles of healing that goes in that. So that's why your class has been important, because okay, now you face with something else that you healed through this, but now you face with something else that you got to heal through.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? Your class, it's like when you decide to heal, it's like that scripture that says, like, when you clean your house, like, what do you fill it back up with? Fill it back up with good things. And what
Mm-hmm.
was coming to me today was, what do we have to pull from? Like, once you start healing, what do you have to pull from?
Mm-mm-mm-mm. You just said a whole mouthful, because I think when we heal, because God allows his healing balm, because he is the healer. We can't heal ourselves, but when we do the work, we clean our house for God to turn around and fill the house. And I think that's what happens when God brings healing in. He fills the house, he cleans the house, because we're willing to do the work. But you said something, when we elevate and when we heal, the more we heal, the more we elevate. I think it's because God can trust us. you know when we do the work, God says, okay, she's doing the work, I can trust her. I can trust her with my people. I can trust her with this promotion. I can trust her with riches. I can trust her with influence. I can trust her with impact. I can trust her with creativity. I can trust her with this ministry. I can trust her to get married. She's mature enough, because she's healed enough not to throw me away when she gets it.
Exactly.
So good, because she's not feeling voids anymore, because she's dealt with her childhood trauma. She's no longer that little girl. So I'm going to upgrade her because I can trust her. I can trust her. And so I've seen this all over your life. But let's be real. How much time was wasted not doing the work? Because sometimes I think about, I wasted 20 years, 18 years of my life saying no to something that was the key to my freedom and my prosperity. Saying no to something that God was saying was his wish. You preached that thing, was his wish for me. I said no to God's wish, his hope for me. And God was saying, if you just only knew, this was the key to you asking and getting whatever you see in your vision, but you are so blinded by the lies that you come into agreement with your lifestyle, with that poverty mentality, with that overthinking, with that imposter syndrome, with all of that trauma you got on the inside of you. You don't even have 20/20 vision. You can't even hear me clearly. So how much time, Nicole, do you think was wasted before you decided, you know what, enough is enough? I got to do something. This is enough.
What cohort was tied in?
Eight. I was in eight.
I
She was
was
in
in
cohort 8.
16.
Yeah.
That says a lot.
Ooh, double. Yeah.
That says a lot. I looked at how many
8
other
cohorts. Mhm.
people and groups you had gone through before I made a decision. That was years. And
Yeah.
that was years, but it took years for that. And it was years before I even knew that I need this level of healing. I
My God.
mean, it's crazy. Like I feel when I look at it, I feel like I lost like those years from cohort 8 to 16. But it was a point where I didn't even know that healing was available. I didn't even know that healing was available. You know how you go to church, you get a fix, and you may get your spiritual fix, but we don't. And I was bad. Let me tell you, prophetess, I was bad for saying all we need is
Ooh.
Jesus. We don't need no therapy. Jesus is enough. I used to say that. I used to say that all the time. I would say Jesus is okay, but what happens when look at how many churches right now are going through where their leaders are in public, and just a lot of things going on. What happens when you feel like you don't have a leader to look up to? When you don't feel like you have somebody spiritually to go to? You left with yourself.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
not left, you left with yourself. Because now, okay, I put all my trust in my leader or this person or this man. Put all your trust in God. But God also, that's why even God, the Bible speaks about when you have certain thoughts that come to your mind, pull them down.
Mhm.
Just certain that's mental, that's training your mental.
Mhm.
It's a lot of things that are deep in the Bible that deals with humanity and spirituality. So it's like you have to deal with this spirit, this human. You have to deal with this human that God gave emotions, that
Mhm.
God created you. He know every hair that's on your head. So he knew that you were gonna need to get to this place where you need healing. No
Mhm.
matter who you are, no matter what walk of life you come from. You just as much as you deal, your soul is not your spirit.
Yeah.
It says, even as your soul prospers, your soul is not your spirit.
It need to be healed. Yeah. Mhm.
How can
'Cause
my
it's
soul prospers if it's
broken.
impoverished, if it's
Mhm.
broken, if it's because when you think of words like poverty and impoverished, those words all correlate. So how can you?
I think a lot of times people don't make the distinction, and they don't seek out being independent of other people. They want to be dependent on other people. And that's one of the first things that God showed me in healing is that we take our power back from people and we learn to trust and have an intimate relationship with God, because there are some things that you can only experience with God outside of people. That's when true healing takes place, when you really uh, initiate and intensify your relationship with God. If you're trying to get true healing outside of God, it'll never happen. It'll never happen. And so he says, come unto me, those that are labored and heavy laden, and I shall give you what? Rest. The
Mm-hmm.
root word of restoration is rest. And I think a lot of times in our restoration, God says, rest in me, take your abode and your habitation in me, make your bed at the altar with me, because there's some things that I want to speak, uncover, and deal with you about, but you don't make time enough to deal with those things. So you still carry those things because you haven't learned to lay those things down. When you spoke about you didn't know healing was available, I think a lot of women feel like that. And I think you spoke to this backstage. We were talking just about Bloom and how, you saw all these different women. Kind of tell us how amazed you were, because it does speak to, we're all the same. Like you could be a 7-figure earner, and you could be a woman that's on welfare, with 2 kids, but you still need the same thing.
Need the
And so,
same healing.
come on.
Need the same healing. And let me tell you, I've been calling it the Bloom Room. I don't even know the real name anymore. I mean, we had the Bloom Room booming so bad that I done forgot the name of the conference. said I wish I had my sisters on her locked and loaded. Look, but
They on here. Look, Daphne's on here.
listen, that's what I said. I'm like, so being in the bloom room and seeing just all of these different women from different states, from just different backgrounds, like nurse practitioner, like these ain't just you ain't dealing with no little, you're not, you the upgraded, you up here. So, but you're not dealing with just regular, just who people would say are your regular. You work with the great, and really a lot of times that population of people are the people who are least seen, people who are great, because you can't trust everybody with your healing, because so many people are ready to pull you down to their level, and so that's why I said, so it's like being in that space and being around women who you can be around them and walk with your head up, and ain't nobody looking at you funny. You can wear what you want to wear, and your sister gonna compliment, because it's a room full of successful, healed women. Like, that did something to my heart. Like, I'm coming to this every year, like, to be in the room, to meet the people who got to see me wake up in the middle of the night and put a video in our group chat and say, these are the thoughts that are coming to me today. This is what I'm dealing with. Oh Lord, I feel a tear. I told you I had to grab me. But seriously though, to be in a space where you can't go to everybody with your healing, because it puts you in a place where you have to be so vulnerable and so open. You literally are like it's almost like you are on this surgery table, and you got this surgeon, you and all of his assistants, in this space that he or she has created, which would be this. And you are literally on the table wide open. Everybody see everything in you. And guess what though? We usually are laying on a table for surgery because we need something. We need healing. It's something going on in our body. We having heart surgery. We having this kind of surgery. We doing that kind of thing. People don't just lay on a table because they want to. Not a lot of times. So we laying on this table in front of each other, split wide open. And we see this. It's like you can't help but love come out of this feeling like you got community, feeling like you got sisters, because they've seen parts of you that nobody else have ever seen before. Parts of you that you was embarrassed to say, but they didn't even make you feel embarrassed. They didn't make you feel shame. In turn, they started opening up and sharing their life, their stories, their problems, all walks of life, all tax brackets. Mm-hmm. All there for the same thing. We all had some things that we needed to heal through. And that was so powerful to me, to see so many dynamic women that got their own stuff going on. And it helped me heal another part of me, to where there are women like you who are okay with sharing their space. A lot of people don't like sharing the space. You got other people that's in your group that have podcasts, they have other stuff going, and you pray for us and you push us and you encourage us. But see, a lot of times, before I ran into you, I ran into other women who really needed healing, that were in leadership positions, that wasn't able to accept other women's greatness. Like, we need spaces like this, of women who can accept other women's greatness, and then pull them to where you are, to walk them through that. That's like something that's a connection that I feel like I will always have with you. You will never leave my heart, my mind. Like, you've created a space that I didn't envision, and made me feel safe enough to heal.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that, and everybody's on here saying you can't trust everybody with your healing. I think that's so true, and I think that's why it's so important that we do things like this, because you just spoke from a very transparent place. And I think it's needed because a lot of times we don't hear women saying, listen, I know how to preach, I know how to do all of these things, but I still have things that I need to heal from. I still have things I struggle with. I still deal with imposter syndrome. Voices are in my head. I shrink sometimes. You know, I don't know if God will forgive me. And, I want to get married again, but I failed at this, I failed at that, and I need to get over this. But I think what was so powerful about Heal, Bloom, and Build was everybody took their title off at the door.
They
Everybody took
did.
off whatever was going to prevent them from connecting. They took it off at the door, or they left it at home. They didn't even bring it on the plane because we had a lot of women that flew
Yeah,
in.
yes.
They left it at their home. They weren't all these titles. They left it there. They were just sis, you know. And I think that it's something that I can't take credit for because I think God's presence was there. And I think wherever God's presence is, honesty, liberty, and freedom is, because that's what the scripture says. Where the Spirit of the
Mhm.
Lord is, there's liberty. And so that was our strongest prayer. That was our top prayer. We didn't know how many women would come, but my prayer was, God, if your presence is there, that's who needs to be there. Inhabit that place for 3 days. And he did it. He
He
did.
did it.
He
He
did it.
did it. It
Mhm.
was everything that I did not know that I needed. He did it.
Yeah. He did that in that space. What if right now there's a lady that's on the other end? Because y'all, we got to get Nicole home. Nicole's still at work, child. We got to get on the road. Because this has been so good. Cherie's on here. Look, listen. We were trying to close up the conference, and we just sitting all in the in the foyer, still talking.
Right.
There's a Nicole on the other end that's listening. Her name may not be Nicole, but she has so much potential. She has a lot of gifts. People look at her and think she's got it all together, and a lot of people that may even depend on her. You know, she's used to making things happen, but she knows she needs to get off the radar. And it's time for her to do the work. It's time for her to take some time to really look within. Because I don't think that sometimes we even know until God starts taking, you said, open us up. But until he opens us up, we don't even know what all is in us. It's left over from those places and spaces that we endured, painful experiences. But what would you tell that woman that you were a year ago? She's where you were a year ago. Right now, she's in that space, and she's saying, "I got this going on. I'm a single parent. I got these kids. What would you tell her about taking the time, about seeking out and carving out time to do some work, healing, looking within, whether she work with me or work with someone else? What would you tell that you a year ago that's sitting watching us tonight?
What came to mind was asking yourself or myself a question. Where do I want to be 5 years from now? And also knowing that if you don't make a decision today, because when you keep saying tomorrow, it's like I've been saying since January that I was going to go on a diet. I ate a salad today. Okay.
Yeah.
Serious. But that's how much time can pass when you put something out for tomorrow. And I ask myself, where do I want to be 5 years from now? If I don't make a decision today, guess what? My fifth year can look just like this year if I
Hallelujah.
don't if I don't do something different.
Mm-hmm.
And I ask myself, do I want that for myself? Do I want that for myself? A lot of times we do stuff for everybody else, but what do I want for myself? Do I want to keep waking up sad? Do I want to keep waking up dreading that I woke up, dreading the day, dreading what I gotta face, dreading Healing make you be like, come on, what's up? I wake up like, come on, what's up? What's next?
Mhm.
I'm looking for the next best thing.
Mhm.
Because healing made me start realizing that days can be good.
Mhm.
Life can be good.
Mhm.
But a lot of times it's what we are carrying around year after year after year after year. And then next thing you know, 5 years from now, you are in the same place that you were 5 years earlier. And do you want that for yourself? I don't know about nobody else, but I was like, Lord, I need some money because I like nice stuff.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
need
It's
I
true.
need this or I need that because XYZ. And if I'm gonna be here, I might as well be here and be happy. I might as well be here and enjoy my life. I might as well be here and feast on the he said he would rather for us he want us to have an abundant life,
Life. Mhm.
you know? And
Mhm.
it's like, and that's why I said, what do we have to pull from? Because and I know people joke with me all the time about how I pull on, but it was at one point where the word was all I had. I played it to go to sleep.
Mhm.
And so now I pull on scriptures that that all things, I didn't stress about my job because all things work together.
Mhm.
But before I got to a place where I wanted to heal, I was waking up like, guys, now something else bad happening. That would
Mhm.
have been my approach.
Mhm.
That's the difference in what healing does. It changes your approach. So that's what I would say. I would say to myself, where do you want to be 5 years from now?
Wow.
And if you don't, and if you keep saying tomorrow, tomorrow gonna end up being your fifth year, and you're gonna be right back looking at what you looked at 5 years ago, saying it for another 5 years.
Yeah. 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 And an image will keep you bound so long. You worrying about what people gonna say, what people think. I tell a lot of times, I tell people, don't even tell people what you're doing. Because they're gonna try to talk you out of it. Girl, you doing what? You doing a take? And they have no idea the value of you doing the inner work. That's not just about what I went through, but is using the strategy to focus on you. That's what I love about God making me a strategist, is because the strategy can work for anybody. They just apply it to their own situation. And I saw you work that thing. I saw you unashamed, unencumbered, like you refused to be like, y'all, it's me again. You was like, you were not going to allow this to defeat you this time. And things happened. You had warfare, you had some things come up, but this time was different. It was different. I don't know what clicked, but it was different this time.
That's funny because I don't either. It's like something just happened where I just woke up one day and was like, you know what? That's why I say you just gotta choose today. Like you literally, you can't keep putting it to. I just had to wake up and say, you know what, I'm doing this.
Mhm.
I had to make up my mind and say, I'm doing this. It
Mhm.
wasn't a question. I didn't let doubt come in. I didn't care what I had to do. We go spend money and do on our, getting together our looks and getting together our fits to look nice and take pictures, and we on all the fancy trips and this, that, and the third, but we won't take time to take the money to actually feel good while you're on vacation.
Mhm.
To actually enjoy your vacation and it not be a sob story. You sitting by the water crying versus sitting by the water laid back enjoying the sun.
Mhm.
It's just different. And I just did not want to go. I didn't want to go another day, another year telling myself that I was gonna do it tomorrow.
Mm. Yeah. I had a young lady ask, how do you know you need healing? I think the biggest or the easiest way for me to tell you that is, if you have something from your past that has power over you, instead of you having power over it, you need to be healed. And healing is not a one-time thing. It's perpetual. It's as you live, God continues to unfold and reveal things. You could be healed financially. You could be healed emotionally. You can be healed in your connections, how you connect with people. There's a lot of women that don't have the friendships or the relationships with the opposite sex like they want to, because they're not healed in their emotions enough to have healthy, genuine relationships. And so God will deal with you in different seasons of your life. The more you heal, the more you'll want to heal, the more you invite it in. And I think one of the biggest things that I learned was healing is not a chore. If you think that healing is a chore instead of a
Mhm.
privilege, it's a privilege for me to get up and say, Lord, what do you want me to work on? What do I need to look at? What needs to be uncovered? How do you want to deal with me today? What am I in error about? Because a lot of the times, what we're in error about, when God reveals that thing and up and lifts the curtain of that thing and shows us the truth, that's healing. And we don't even know we're being healed, you know. But when God starts revealing untruths and dealing with you about what he wants for your life, that's healing. God can heal you in your calling. Some people are misplaced, they're displaced, they're out of place, even in their calling. And it's because someone told them something that was not true, or something that they didn't even know they had the ability to tell them. And they're operating in an unhealed space because they're still trying to prove to that person they're worthy. And so one thing I would really say to the person that's on here, her name is Nicole, but I would say to you that healing is something that you'll never stop doing. It's something that you invite into your life. It's something that is an upgrader. You know, it helps you attract, it helps you live. You know, the scripture says that the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. But the Lord says, I came that you would have life and life more abundantly. When you do the work, God allows you to attract that abundant life. And there were so many times, and I know Nicole can speak to this too before we dismiss. There were so many times that I was wondering, Lord, why is this being withheld from me? Why does it seem like I'm trying to get to a space and it's like I can't get there? And it was because I never took the time to close those expired doors. There were so many doors open on the inside of me from my past that God said, I can't trust you with another door. I can't trust you with another door because you haven't closed the ones that you went through when you were 6, when you were 12, when you were 13. There's too many doors open, Rashana, for me to open another one. Close those doors, heal from those things, get closure, and then start and ask me for something new. But there's so many things that God wants to speak to us. And I'm speaking to Nicole, that's on the other end in the audience. There's so many things that God wants to do in your life that is not you just dragging up something and digging up something, but it's being open to say, God, what's next? What do you have for me? And what do I need to unlearn or come out of agreement so I can get it? There are so many things that even and I'm going to share this. I didn't mean to share this, Nicole, but because I'm going to give you last parting words.
Oh,
I had to heal to put on a 3-day conference. Let's start there. Come on. I had to, there was something in me that had to heal and say, you know what? This right here, what you've been doing, this ain't what God got for you. Let's heal your idea about who you are and what you can do. Because somebody done told you you can't do this. Somebody done told you this not your lane. Come on. Somebody done told you that that's for sister so and so over there, but you're not worthy to. Nobody's gonna come. Nobody's gonna buy the ticket. Nobody's gonna fly in. You're gonna be in that room all by yourself. There was some healing that needed to take place in me. And the same way that we don't know where it comes from, that voice came from a child that was not included, that was rejected or abandoned on the playground. That same voice that came from my childhood needed to be healed to say, you know what? No, 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 they coming. They coming. Because God told me to put this on and to host this. So guess what? I'm not listening to you. I come out of agreement with you. I come out of God, heal me from that voice. Heal me from thinking like her. She's healed. She can't control me anymore. And those are things that sometimes I think we look over because God is saying, go higher. But then that voice that you haven't been healed from, or that child that version of you that you haven't been healed from, said, no, we don't belong up there, not yet. It ain't time. And God said, I'm calling you higher. I'm going to meet you in the air. Come on. I'm going to meet you in the upgrade. I'm going to meet you in the elevation. I'm going to meet you on the other side of your yes. I'm going to meet you in that next level. You just got to get on the elevator and trust me. You meet me in the air, not on the ground. I'm not coming down there. I'm in the air. There has to be a place in you that you say, God, I want to make healing a lifestyle for me. I want you to heal me. I want you to show me where I'm in error. I want you to show me where I think where my thinking is off. Just show me what I need to do so that I can completely align with you. That takes time. So what Nicole has said tonight is that's why she don't mind going underground, because she don't need an audience to give her permission to do what she does, because it's an inside job and people don't need to know what's going on. They'll see it on the other end. They'll see it on the celebration. They'll see it on the mountaintop, right? And so I love the fact, because I think somebody gonna use that. The audience don't need to know what you're doing. Like, that was so good. But I wanted to speak to that woman that's saying, how do you know? You need it. You need healing right now. You need healing right now. And all you need to do is say, God, show me. Show me the areas, or deal with me in the areas that right now you want to unfold, that you want to uncover. Show me what I need to do so that I can heal even the more, so that you can partner with me to go to my next, or that you can use me in a greater capacity, so that you can trust me with your people, right? Show me what I need to heal, or what you want to heal as I do the work. So, Nicole, that in a nutshell, she says yes. So I'm glad you got an answer. Um, before we leave, Nicole, we're gonna give you parting words. First of all, I want to thank you for making time to come on.
Thank
We've
you for having. It's an honor.
listen, it's amazing to see where God has, it's not about the promotion, but you can
Hmm.
only manifest what's happening internal. And I believe you are upgrading externally because God upgraded you spiritually and emotionally. And so, what are your parting words? Because I know you have so much that God has done in your life. We see you jet setting and doing this, and it's not like it's a big deal to you, but you're thankful, right? But it's like this: I belong here because I did the work before I got here. Ooh,
Mm.
I belong here because I did the work before I got here. And who I am on the inside is just positioning where I need to be on the outside, because this is who I am. So I'm just manifesting who I am. Uh, Give us some parting words before you leave, advice, a prayer, um, to the audience before you leave. What parting words do you have for us?
I think one of the things that I want to say, um, even to the person who just asked that question about how do you know you need healing, one thing that when you were talking that came to me was, where is your fight? Like, where is your fight level at? That's how you know when you need healing. Like, are you stagnant? That's how you know you need. God is a God of progression.
Yes, he is.
He's a God of movement. He'll keep you a certain place while he works stuff out, but he's a God of progression. And a lot of times, and I love that the name of your class is called To Clarity,
Mm-hmm.
because I received clarity once I started going through healing. Clarity about my next step, clarity about who I am. Even when I didn't know how to accept what God was doing in my life, he started making things clear when I went through healing. So it's like, how much fight do you have in you for your future
Mm-mm.
and for who God has said that you are? How much fight do you have to get there? And they be saying, how bad do you want it?
Mm-hmm.
You know? And that's healing. When it comes to making a decision to heal, that's one of the questions you have to ask yourself. You say you want this, you say you want that, but it's stuff that come with that,
Mm-hmm.
that you can't walk in the room insecure no more. You can't afford to walk in the room with your head down. You can't afford walking into rooms asking why you here. Do I belong? Do, like you said, that little girl or that injured person needs to be needs to be healed and whole
Mm-hmm.
so that you can go to your next level in life. That's what I would say. Where your fight at? That's how you know. That's how you know Since I've gone through Call to Clarity, I feel like momentum has happened in my life. And the biggest thing is, I wrote a book called Unstoppable, but I felt like I finally feel like what God spoke to me all of those years ago when He told me to rewrite my story and call it Unstoppable. I finally feel unstoppable
Mm,
because I went through a healing class on a healing journey with God because she's a prophetess. She gets you together in them prayers on them.
don't be telling me.
She gets you together. She gonna tell you the truth and now, Nicole. She gonna tell you the truth in love. But you need somebody who has foresight in your future, and somebody who also has tools in the natural to be able to help guide you to where you need to be. Yes, Kimberly, where your fight at, sis? Where your fight at? If you got your hands down, you need healing.
Mm,
Healing bring about a fight.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because
Because
now you ain't taking me back
yeah,
yesterday.
yeah, yeah.
You start being like, I worked too hard for this. No.
You know what? That's so good, Nicole, because healing really reveals to you what's available to you. And you know there's an inheritance. When you're not healed, you're broken, you're like, what I'm fighting for, I don't have anything. God doesn't have anything stored up for me. But when you're healed, healing brings clarity. And a lot of times people say, why did you name this course called the Clarity? Because that's the name He gave me. He said,
Yeah, you're
because
a good one.
He gave me the name called to clarity. Because He said, when you heal, you're going to get clarity about your life. And when you get clarity, you'll get courage to do it. And so we started healing,
Good.
but the end result is, can you have courage to go after what God says belongs to you? you know in the middle is clarity. So I know when people are healed, because remember, I was on a call, and I don't know if you remember this, Nicole, but I was like, y'all ain't doing the work because y'all ain't got no clarity. Look, this vague, and Todd know, I said this vague. I'm talking about specific. Y'all need to be telling me. And it's because, not because I can read you telepathically or prophetically, but I know that healing brings clarity. And when you heal and God does what He does in you, you're going to get clarity about your life. And if you ain't to get no clarity, you ain't doing the work. You
You're
know.
not.
Yeah, so it's like God's going to say, okay, here's this healing, and that healing's going to work clarity in your life, and then that clarity is going to say, because I can see, and I can see the mountain, now I can climb it. Now I can climb it. But before, I didn't see the mountain. All I saw was fog. I couldn't see the road. All I could see was a bunch of grass. I didn't see a path laid out for me, right? I didn't see the door. I didn't see it. I didn't
Couldn't
have
see no
vision. I didn't have
more.
no clarity.
Seriously, couldn't see anymore.
Couldn't
Didn't
see.
know how to go left or right.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the story. So I want to thank you for coming on and just telling your story. I also want to tell them how to get your book. I've read it, y'all. When I had insomnia, I told her this before. When I had insomnia, I said, let me read Nicole's book. And y'all, I'm thinking, you know how you thinking, well, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm gonna read a couple pages and I'm gonna go to sleep. Look, it was 2:30. I'm like, what? Look, I'm turning the page. I'm like, wait. I'm gonna read one more. One more page. I mean, when I tell you, you are more than a conqueror. You're not a survivor. You are a conqueror. And I want them to know how they can get your book, because we want you to get the book Unstoppable in the hands of whoever needs it, right? So we want you to tell us, how can we get Unstoppable?
You can get Unstoppable on Amazon. Just type in Unstoppable by Nicole Williams, or they can inbox me and I'll send the link.
Okay, okay. So you guys, inbox Nicole, and you also can put, if you're in Heal, Bloom, and Build in the group, and you want an Unstoppable copy, then we're going to post the link in there. But if you want the link for the book, put book link, and we're gonna put it in the news, and we're gonna put it in the feed tonight, so
Okay.
that you can get the book. And if she has some copies at home, then she can send it out. If not, you can go on Amazon and get it. But we want to sell 20, 25 books tonight. So
Oh.
get a book. Yeah, get a book and get it for somebody, because I'm telling you, that book is, when I tell you, she know it is. That's why she
You
laughing.
did.
That
You
book is
messaged
like
me.
a page. We're talking about a page turner. You're like, this need to be a movie. But amazing story of God's grace and mercy, God's hand being on your life, God's love to cover you, in the midst of so much, and you still being in your right mind. My God. And it's all because he has great things that he wants you to do for him. So you guys okay, so Kimberly said book link. So we'll put it in this feed, and we'll also put it inside of our group for Heal, Bloom, and Bill. We'll put the link in there as well. All right. Thank you, Nicole, for sharing
Thank you so much for
this
having
Tuesday
me.
night with us. And I will never, I'll always just be a phone call away. I'll never be too far that you can't reach me. I love you so much. Thank you for being a part of my community, and also trusting me, trusting me to lay on the table,
Yeah.
to lay on the table and let God do. I think I just created the surgery room, but he's the surgeon,
Yeah.
but I invited y'all into in the space, and he did what he wanted to do in you. So thank you for trusting me.
And thank you. I said, prophetess, I said, you see me, but you see me.
Mhm.
And you know what that means.
Yeah, I do. I do. That's private. If y'all don't get that, stay out of our business. All
Yeah.
right, you guys. So say goodbye to Nicole. Nicole, thank you so much. And I'm going to be in touch. Just stay back in the green room in just a second. I'm going to say a few goodbyes and give some updates for the rest of the week. All right, y'all give us some hearts and some thumbs up.
Bye.
All right, y'all. So tonight was amazing. I know you guys, some of you guys know Nicole, some of you don't. So those of you that you're like, where do I get healing? Where do I start this journey? And you're interested in enrolling in a course, it's time. You you felt like we were speaking directly to you. And you know that it's time for you to heal. It's time for you to make healing a lifestyle. It's time for you to address some things in your life that have been lying dormant, and you've been suppressing them. And you're like, you know what? It's like I can't get where I want to be. I can hear God speaking to me, but it's like it's so far away. That's where I was in my life. And it took some time, but God was faithful, and he brought me to the place where I am now, where I'm actually helping women heal, and also find clarity, and then build some things that God has placed on the inside of their bellies. There are some things that you want to build, but God says first you got to heal. You got to heal first, and then I'll partner with you to build. So if that's you, and you know it's time, you've been watching me, and you're interested in taking Call to Clarity, I want you to put clarity in the comments, and I'll send you a link to get on a call with me so we can see if Call to Clarity is for you. It's not for everybody, but if it's for you, we'll get you where you need to be so that you can enroll. Our next course for Call to Clarity is cohort 18. They are called New Creation, and they will be just that after 8 weeks in the course, and we begin September the 15th. So we don't have a lot of time. So if you are interested, don't let money, don't let you feeling like you don't know what all it entails, don't let any of that stop you. Go for what you know and get what you need. You are your biggest assignment, and you are good ground. And so I'm going to tell you, if you need the link, put clarity in the comments, or you can go to my bio and you can make an appointment with me, a 15-minute free consultation, and we can get on a call and see if Call to Clarity is for you. All right. I want to thank all of you for sharing Tuesday night with me. We also are going to be on Thursday night at the same time, 8 o'clock, with none other than Kafria Hart is going to be on with us. Y'all know she's amazing, and it's going to get better and better as we continue next week as well. We have some cohorts that's going to come, alumni that's going to come in and share their story with you. So I'm super excited about that. Thank you guys for Yes, of course. I definitely will send it to you. Um, I'm super excited about what God is doing. And just so you guys know, I have the best community in the world. I have the best community in the world, and I wouldn't take anything for you guys. Thank you so much for joining me tonight, and I'll see you guys Thursday night at the same time at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 7 o'clock Central. All right. Good night. God bless.